when are we going to go to the first like triple decker? Is that in the Meyershank plan for 2026?
Don't give us any ideas. Don't tell Mike that.
Okay, we won't tell that to Mike. IMSA fans, one of the really cool things we learned about last year here at Daytona, the pit structures, these temporary homes that teams work within. Back in 2023, the Acura Meyershank racing team really set a new level. Our friend Matt Swan here, intergalactic man in charge of stuff. We've been friends since I was young. You've always been old, but that's okay. Very separate topic. But Matt, when you were here in 2023, this was a single car GTP team.
Correct.
You've doubled in size now.
Yep.
And indeed, if we look at this pit structure that you are in the midst of building, you and your teammates, we can see everything's out here. This is a setup day. Expanded to 2 cars. This is giant. This is bigger than many people's apartments and homes. Tell folks about this.
It is. It's quite a bit different than the Easy Up tent you and I used to work on Sports 2000s at Pfeiffer Ridge Racing. It's just a little bit bigger. Yes, basically, like Marshall said, we had a single unit in 2023, and that we raced. And then when we came back in, we needed twice the people, twice the equipment, twice the cars, so we basically doubled the size of the timing stand.
And so looking at this, Matt, like if we push in here and get a little bit closer, we can see nothing but monitors and communication systems. Look at that huge bundle of wiring that's about to get laid out. How many monitors get installed here and upstairs in the engineering?
I lost count somewhere in the mid-40s.
And you said these are doorbusters.
And none of these are certain big box manufacturer doorbusters.
These are expensive items.
These are expensive monitors, and it is quite a feat of logistics to get all this stuff packed up, set up. It lived in our 1.5 truck bays for a couple of months.
1.5 truck bays.
We had the extension on that we only use for this event. It's basically 1.5 truck bays. Not quite the full length, but this is just about 40 feet long, and it's the size that we are given, plus a little bit.
Dang near the size of a tractor trailer itself, which is what you work out of.
Yeah. So these things are all just like in the IndyCar series. These things are all like transformers, right? You know, they all have to fold back down. We build these carts in our fab shop.
Carry everything that helps get
pack
built
everything.
Here.
These have to fit in the transporters as well. So it was quite the feat to double all this. We had to get rid of we called it the Titanic before. We had one big one. We call these the minnows, since they're actually smaller and a little bit more manageable.
All handmade at the Acura Meyershank Racing shops there in Ohio.
Yep.
But we're going to look at some other setups here in just a little bit. But the point being is, coming here for 24 hours of racing, a 2-car team like yourself, dozens upon dozens of employees, crew members, engineers, drivers, managers. You've got to create a real functional working space for them. Funny to think 10 years ago it was just easy ups, but this is like almost an arms race between manufacturers. We have Ford next to us, we got Porsche, BMW, like everyone. When are we going to go to the first like triple decker? Is that in the Meyershank plan for 2026?
Don't give us any ideas. Don't tell Mike that.
Okay, we won't tell that to Mike. So Matt Swan, we're here, top level. We have 2 operations teams going on, race engineers, strategists, performance engineers. We have this truly beautiful quilted love chair lounge. The drivers probably sit here since they're not doing anything of value between stints. But the communications side blows me away. So these things, these big 2-car type pit structures among the major manufacturers, I know are going for almost $1 million these days, these specialized pieces being fabricated. The infrastructure for communications alone, I hear, is like about $100,000 in many of these as well. If you've seen any of these during a Formula One broadcast out on the timing stand, a lot of important folks pressing buttons. This is the same exact kind of communications technology you'll see in F1 all throughout this here Tell us about this, Matt, because this is a whole massive internal network you've created.
It is actually. It is its own network. And you think about the amount of people that are up here, and again, I lose count, 15, 20 people, probably over 20 people up here, all communicating. You have systems engineers, like you say, performance engineers, race engineers. We have, obviously HRC's engineers monitoring the engines, things like that. If you imagine just the cacophony of sound of so many people, so we're able to actually divide that up into different channels, right? And so we'll have a management channel, there'll be an engine channel.
When the manager A wants to talk to manager B 15 feet down, they know to press that button and so on. So that way everyone's not tripping over each other on the headset.
Exactly. And they're grouped together, by different jobs and things like that. So it is, and there is the ability to listen to multiple channels at the same time. And it is, in 23 I did it for a little bit and I had to shut it off. It was too much. I'm not very bright, so I get overwhelmed easily. But that was definitely, it was a lot to process. So it's definitely a necessity, being able to pick and choose what you need to listen to perform your job.
Last thing that I love about this, so here we have again this 40-foot long massive structure in the middle of being built. This will be up and operational once we go live, obviously, and hit the track. So the thing that I love most, Matt, $1 million structure, dozens of people, crazy amount, not doorbusters, actually really nice, amazing monitors here, headsets, intercoms, you name it. Daytona International Speedway, beautiful panoramic place, seats 1 trillion people. What do folks do for 24 hours? They spend it staring into this small space. So despite having this entire world around us, everyone is really just locked into watching a monitor. There is a little viewing opportunity here during a pit stop. You can get up close, see what's happening, or out on the edges. But by and large, folks are up here effectively using blinders to keep an eye on what's on track, data, information coming across maybe. You've come here to stare at monitors.
Yeah, yep. We do a lot of that, or the smart people do. The engineers get to do that. So
let's go take a look at some of the other pit structures with our friend Thomas from United Race Parts, one of the key vendors, works with the Meyer-Shank Racing team as well, that helps create these kind of structures to spec as needed for a lot of the teams here racing in IMSA. So we have a lot of vendors that make these mobile living quarters. There's more than 1,000 people who descend upon Daytona, Sebring, the other tracks, to put these structures together, run the racing teams, do the pit stops. C-Tech is one vendor for sure. We see that here with the all-white structure with Aston Martin, the Action Express Racing wheel and engineering team, a bit more of a homemade system setup. We have our friend Thomas Decker, part of the United Race Parts organization, the Greaves engineering team. They are the folks that indeed make a lot of these, I don't know what to call them, mobile houses. This is insane, the kinds of things that you do. We saw that with the Meyer-Shank team, but there's a lot of teams, a lot of manufacturers saying, could you guys please give us ideas, take our ideas, make them into something like this that we can set up, these modular pieces. Tell us a little bit about this, Thomas. There's numbers, I'm sure, of the amount of materials used on average, the time it takes to put them together, single car team, 2-car team. What are some of the cool stats?
Yeah, these beautiful engineering stations with our partners at Greaves, they involve over 50 people from the design to manufacturing. Some of the 2-car stands weigh over 10,000 pounds. There's over 7,000 feet of Ethernet cable in some of the stands. Power side, there's 3,500 feet of power cable that goes into them, just to dedicated circuits.
More than a half mile.
More than a half mile. From the design side, there's over 15,000 individual components that have gone through design, manufacturing, production, and integration into the stand. So
15,000 pieces that go into these modular, I wasn't going to say monstrosity, but I mean that in the best way, because this is not just, how's this? If this were a Lego set, my brain would be exploding. But you look at what Paul Miller Racing has here with their 2-car setup. Next to this, we have Cadillac, Wayne Taylor Racing, I believe another client of yours. Down the road just a little bit, we have BMW M-Team RLL. Different ideas. These aren't the same, right? This isn't just one item that you make that everybody buys. These are all customized.
Yeah, nearly every stand goes through a 4 to 6 month engineering process to fit it exactly to their needs. Every team has different kind of engineering needs, goals, concepts, and we work through everything we can with them to integrate everything in a turnkey solution up front.
So time-wise to make, let's say, this Wayne Taylor Cadillac perch that's being assembled right now, from the moment you get a call saying, hi, we'd like to do something, how long on average do you think it would take to actually say, here it's done and assembled for the first time on the shop floor?
I think you're asking me the hard, difficult, loaded questions here, but engineering, we can take, like I said, 4 to 6 months. From a production standpoint, it's typically about 12 to 16 weeks. It just depends on how complicated the build gets when it happens in the season, but Greaves does all the work in-house and really controls their own destiny there, so it really helps during that process.
Learned a couple of things from you here for sure that stand out. There's more wiring in the pit structures than the race cars that are being run from those pit structures.
Yes.
Also thinking about the time to build, it takes more time to manufacture one of these than it does any of the race car. I mean, I'm not trying to oversell things. This is something on a totally different level, and we don't see this in any other form of racing to this degree. I realize in F1, you go into the garages, they have a lot of cool things there, but this is the actual operations home. The cars are right here being pitted. There's nothing like this in racing that I've seen.
No, we provide similar equipment to the series you've listed around the world, and by far these are the most complicated products we make from a production and design standpoint.
Most complicated products they make here in IMSA. This is crazy, but again, this is a mobile traveling community that goes on forever and ever down pit lane. Insane to think of how many people are working from within these structures. Luckily, there's an entire full day reserved to set them up. And then what happens after you go racing for 24 hours and you're exhausted and you've actually been up for like 35 to 40 hours? You get to tear them all down. So that's the reward. You get to break these things down. But Thomas, thanks so much for telling us a little bit more, giving us some crazy stats. Yet another something that's really, truly unique about IMSA and its WeatherTech Sports Car Championship.
Awesome. Thanks for the time. Have a great day.
Watch us this season on NBC and Peacock. Be sure to subscribe to IMSA on YouTube and enjoy our brand new IMSA Endurance Hour podcast. And if you're interested in digital activation in motorsports, visit IMSA.com/partnership.